Hey everyone, it is Daniel, or I am Daniel, and today is May 5th, and I am here for another weekly update. Now, this is the third or something weekly update that I'm giving on my $1 million story, my plan and my journey to make my first $1 million of net worth. Okay, so I'm planning to do this within 5 years. By the end of 2023, I plan to be a single digit millionaire. Okay, $1 million. And I'm doing this with my current income, salaried income, working a full time job, my wife's income as a real estate agent, and basically my side hustles, which at some point may or may not, almost certainly will have to become my full time job as well. So, maybe a little bit of background why I started this project, and for those of you that have been with me for a little bit or have been watching these videos, you'll probably have an idea about all of this stuff, or at least most of it. I'm trying to maybe introduce a little bit more every time, and so hopefully that's what'll happen. But I have been working on side businesses and side ideas, side projects for a long time, and I've been making money off of them for a long time. I've done a lot of different types of businesses, from stripping cars down to parts and selling them on eBay, to a couple startups that I plan to become multi-millionaire, maybe billionaire from, which obviously that didn't work out, unfortunately. But I've done all sorts of things, and I've been doing it since I was a kid. As a kid, I can remember taking, in fact, Oriental Trading magazine. So, goodness, if I can remember correctly, it was a magazine with all these little, who knows what, just little toys or little plastic things, you would basically buy them in bulk, and then I could sell them at school, in elementary school, to people, to friends and other kids that I went to school with. And goodness, I haven't thought about that in a very, very long time. But it's always been, a hobby of mine to be running businesses, and then ultimately a larger goal of mine to seek financial independence. And so, and I define financial independence maybe a little different than, the FIRE model of at what point I could have the ability to be independent if I wanted to. For me, financial independence is I define it by the need to work for money, right? I want to get to a point where I'm working because I want to, but no longer, it's whatever point that for the rest of my life, I won't be working for money any longer. And so my money just becomes a tangential thing that I have. In fact, maybe it becomes something that I just use to accomplish bigger things or service or something else, but not for my own personal gain. That's where I'd like to be long term. It's going to take more than $1 million to get me the lifestyle that I want to maintain, and that I will define as real independence and no longer working for money. But I need to get that first $1 million, one, to set me on a trajectory that'll take me to where I'm going before I die, or before I'm too old to enjoy it the way I want to. But also, I think that this is a good opportunity for me to share with other people my experience, and hopefully help other people to grow and long term be able to mentor them. I was talking to a friend and to my wife as well. I've kind of brought this subject up a few times over the last few weeks, and trying to process the idea of what would I do, or what will I do when I'm no longer working for money, right? I don't plan to just sit around all the time. I may travel more. I may do more projects where I just have the freedom to do things that and not worry that I'm not working for money. But there's a bigger question of what's going to bring me joy and fulfillment during the rest of my life, once I'm not working a job or a business per se. And and the thing that's kind of stuck with me is whatever I end up doing as far as the current project that I'm working on, I'd like to be mentoring, coaching, helping people in their journey to find who they are, what they're seeking in life, to find their passion, to achieve their dreams. And that's really something that I'm passionate about. I've always been very interested in sharing my own experience and the information that I collect, the ideas that I have. I want to be able to share those things with other people and help them progress from wherever they're at, just take another step towards where they're going. So that's kind of my overall goal, right? My big long-term goal is to get to $1 million net worth in 5 years. As far as my update for the week, right? This is a weekly update, not just a weekly ramble. Last week, right? So Monday to today, I've been working on my social media strategy. Now that's kind of an interesting concept, given that this business currently exists only on Facebook and now on YouTube as well for I think 3 or 4 days. So it's exclusively a social media business. It doesn't exist outside of that. There is no product at this point. It's really just me sharing my experience. And so having a social media strategy is really just a business strategy for the short term before I release a product. Incidentally, I've also this week started to kind of conceptualize the business side of it, the financial side of where this business is going as well. And I've mentioned that in a couple previous videos during the week, that I wanted to figure out how my $1 million story fit in with my other businesses. If you don't know, I have an eBay store that is small, but I'm working on building to be much bigger, and I'll be sharing more about that over the coming months as well. But I wanted to understand how my $1 million story cannot operate in a silo, and then my eBay store operate in a silo as well. I wanted to be able to sync them and have them influence each other, and hopefully be able to build each other and overall see how they fit into my 5-year journey to become a millionaire. And honestly, I've been kind of stuck on that, trying to figure it out. I didn't really get a lot of clarity until yesterday. And then ultimately today, I was able to whiteboard a lot of ideas that have been floating in my head, but I wasn't able to piece together. And I'm super excited about this story, or this idea, this plan that I've been putting together. And I think that more details will kind of solidify in the coming weeks, and I'll be able to share more about it. For now, I just want to report that during this last week, I feel like I've been very successful at creating my social media strategy. As I mentioned, I set up a YouTube page and I've started publishing there as well. I'm also publishing to Instagram. I've started using stories inside of my Facebook page as well as on Instagram, which is completely new to me. And you'll probably notice if you've seen any of them that I'm using horizontal videos in both places still, because I can't get used to turning that stupid camera vertical when I record anything. And so my stories they probably look stupid to people that know what they're doing, but I'll get there. I promise I'll figure out these things I swear I was on Facebook, not early, but early-ish for my school. And what am I trying to say? I signed up and then I didn't use it much, and then time got away from me, and now I'm just kind of suck at social media. So I'm getting there, I'm figuring it out, and I'm just diving in, head first, because I really want to get there. This next week, I've mentioned I will be working on a 100-day challenge to basically set my own goals, figure out my own plan. What am I going to stretch, a big stretch to accomplish in 100 days? Now, it's a big stretch, but I'm committing to accomplishing those goals in 100 days. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I do whatever I say that I'm going to do. But I also want to make sure that it's stretching me to do more than just an easy kind of walk in the park set of goals for that challenge. The challenge is called the Forge. Basically the idea is to add pressure like a forge, right? Where you forge steel, a blacksmith, that kind of idea. You're using heat, pressure, and pain, getting hit with a hammer, right? To build something better at the end of those 100 days. I really like that metaphor and the image that creates of what the purpose of this challenge is. So over the next week, I'm going to be working on setting my goals for what I want to accomplish and then breaking those goals down into a weekly structured schedule so that I basically have what I'm going to be doing each week and then what I'm going to be able to demo to the group at the end of the week. I like this form of planning. It's kind of how I do my annual planning as well. I take my year's goals, something that's going to stretch me. I break it down into quarters. From there, every quarter I break it down into months. So what do I need to do every month during this quarter so that at the end of the quarter these goals are accomplished, right? And then when I get into the month, I break it down into weeks. What do I need to do during these four and a half weeks so that at the end of the month I've accomplished my goals? And then again, at the week, I break it down into days. I have kind of an up and down on how well I do that planning, but it seems to work very well for me. And that's the plan, or the way that I plan to approach this 100-day challenge as well. All right. I've kind of been all over the place. I've touched on last week and this week and some bigger ideas about what's happening with my $1 million story. I want to just say that overall, over the last 3 weeks, I'm feeling much more optimistic about my goals and about my plans than I was at the beginning. I feel more confidence. I feel more excitement. Feel like I can be more ambitious and more, set larger goals for myself now without just kind of deep down knowing that I'm just going to give up on them. I feel like I'm committed at this point to achieving the things that I set as my purpose. Last thing that I wanted to talk briefly about is the benefits of feedback and really good feedback, right? So I mentioned that during this Forge, we will be doing weekly demos to present to a group what it is that we've accomplished and whether or not we've done what we set out to do during the previous week. That's a really important step as you do things, right? It's an opportunity to get feedback not only on whether or not you're doing enough or pushing yourself hard enough, but get feedback on the quality of the work that you're delivering. One thing that I've been asking and trying to get feedback on is the value of these videos. What is it that people are liking about them? What are you gaining or getting out of the videos? And then what is it that you could see me doing better in future videos and even beyond just the videos? What would you like to see my $1 million story become? And it's been super valuable. I mean, I want to thank everyone that has given me feedback. The time and the effort that you put into just helping me to build something is greatly appreciated. But the point that I want to make out of this is don't be afraid of feedback. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's challenging to hear, especially when that feedback is an encouragement to do something differently. But I just want to point out that without that feedback, as I mentioned, I think this morning, you have these sometimes very big blind spots in your life where you just can't tell what you should be doing differently. Your experience will never let you see an opportunity or a pitfall that you're falling into. So let me leave you with that encouragement and with all of my my just goodwill and awesome thoughts and my best wishes for you and all of your goals. I hope and wish for the best for you this week and for all of your efforts in the future. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning.